Hi, this is Dara, and I'm here with a non-binary update. So, I just finished my consultation with a plastic surgeon. So, for those of you who haven't seen my previous updates, here's what's going on. I have been thinking more about getting what is known as a breast reduction surgery, and the reason is partially for medical and physical reasons and partially for gender identity reasons. And so I thought about following through with this for a couple months, and I finally had my consultation. He actually had to reschedule with me from earlier this month, which I've heard that happens a lot. So if you're somebody who has a surgery consultation scheduled, even though it'll be awesome if you get to actually go on the day that you're told you get to go in, sometimes stuff happens. I'll be honest, I was actually really nervous before this appointment, so when they canceled earlier this month, I was slightly relieved, and I wasn't sure why I was so nervous. Excuse me. And so today, before I went in, I was really nervous, and I sat my wife down and asked her if I could just kind of talk through what my concerns were or whatever it was that was leaving me feeling unsettled. It wasn't really until I got there and I started filling out paperwork and things like that that I started to get the feeling of what was making me nervous. And I think a part of me was feeling like maybe this wasn't such a big deal. Like, being in a surgeon center, you just it feels really real. It feels really serious and heavy. And then you kind of like, oh God, what am I about to do? I mean, not like I was getting ready to go for surgery, but I was getting ready to go talk about the possibility of it. And I began doubting, like, maybe this is fine. I can just deal with this. And he's going to think that I'm silly for even coming in. So what I did was, while I was waiting for the surgeon to come in to talk to me, is I got really clear on how I wanted to approach this with him, because I had gone back and forth a lot about how to talk about it. So when he came in, I was just honest with him and said, I really just want to find out from you what your opinion is. Is this something that I'm dealing with that's serious enough that I should think about the possibility of surgery? So let me clarify. When I talk about the seriousness, I was not talking with him about gender identity. I decided to leave that out of it. I decided to focus just on the medical, physical aspect of it. Again, that just sort of happened while I was there. I just did that on my own. Decided it was going to be either distracting or confusing if I brought up gender identity. And I wanted to get really clear on why I was doing this. And so during the visit, I actually ended up feeling surprisingly very validated in my thoughts. And without getting too personal, basically he said it's like I have rocks in my breasts. It has to do with hard tissue. And he said if he was to remove that, I would definitely feel relief. And he was talking about neck, shoulder, back relief. And then of course I'm thinking to myself, like, in terms of feeling non-binary, I think that would actually provide some relief for that as well. He also said that removing that would reduce my risk of breast cancer by 1/3. So all of a sudden, I felt like I was making this decision more from a medical perspective. Not that the gender identity part wasn't as equally as important, but now that I'm going to be making this decision from this other place, I feel like, sorry about that, I feel like the decision might be a little easier. So here's my concerns. Let me be honest about those as well. So it's going to take about 10 days probably, he said, for my insurance to let us know if they approve it or not. He feels confident they will, which again, that helps me feel really validated knowing that he doesn't know anything about my gender identity and still feels like this would be a good idea. So, there's that. So of course, even if they do approve it, they're not going to cover it 100%. I need to be able to understand completely 100%. I said 100% twice. What it is that I am going to be responsible for paying for. Okay, so then there's the risk of surgery. And honestly, at this point, that's my biggest concern. getting any kind of surgery is risky, and I am not a fan of that kind of risk. So that's going to be the part that I'm going to really have to sit with the most. He said that the surgery is less invasive than the tonsillectomy that I got about 11 years ago. So that was really surprising for me to hear that, because the tonsillectomy that I got, it wasn't by any means great, but I just sort of chilled out for about a week, and then, well, I had to go to the emergency room once, but that's because I ate popcorn before I was supposed to. You know, I'm older now and I know how to be responsible during post-surgery care. So that was definitely interesting to hear him say that in comparison to that surgery. And I've had a C-section, and that it is definitely less invasive than a C-section. So the other thing is, healing time. I didn't want to have to take off of much work. You know, I've got, besides my counseling practice and seeing clients, I work for my dad's publishing company. I make these videos, and I'm in the process of creating more products to help with for the transgender community, and creating resources. Anyway, so I just started thinking about what that might be like to, like, oh, what if I can't do that for a while? He said that, seriously, for about 6 weeks I'll feel more fatigued than usual, and he said that's because as you get older, your ability to recover from surgery quickly goes down a bit. He said pain should not be an issue, for discomfort for a few days, but that's about it. He said I'll just have to be careful of how much fatigue I might feel. So for instance, I was thinking timing wise, when I do this, maybe I'll wait until Thanksgiving. I'm already probably going to take off of work during that time. Usually work slows down anyway, so maybe that would be a good time to do it. So I wanted to share this with you because you can kind of see how I'm going around in my head about this process, and deciding and figuring out and coming up with really specific details about how to make this happen. And so I definitely need to have another talk with my wife about this, because obviously it'll impact her too on several different levels, and see what she thinks. The biggest step right now is to wait and see if insurance approves it, and if they do, potentially I might set a surgery date. As long as it's within the next 6 months, I'll be good, because that's how long the approval is good for. I wanted to mention one more thing, is that 6 months would also give me time to get into the best health possible, physical shape. I'm very careful, for the most part, about what it is that I eat and drink, and want to do whatever it takes for me to be able to bounce back from a surgery quickly. So just thought I'd throw that in. Alright, so that's my update about my surgery consultation. Thanks for watching, and I guess this is now going to be an ongoing saga, where coming next, does my insurance approve the surgery, and then following that would be, what do I do if they say yes, and what do I do if they say no? So stay tuned. Talk to you again soon.